Hey, welcome to another edition of Say That with Adrian. On this show today, this guy, you hear his voice all over the US. I mean, from New York to LA, from Vegas to Houston to he's one of the baddest morning show that's happening back in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, say put Jay in your day. He's a voice actor, a writer, producer, a sound design. Man, this man is bad. I mean, when I say bad, he bad. He's like one of the top three voiceover for me, my opinion. One of the top three. There was Mitch Craig, and that was Mitch Faulkner. He passed away, rest in peace. But this brother, oh, hey, he's cold. Welcome to the show today, my man, Jaye Delai. What's going
Man,
on, Mr. J?
honored that you would even in the introduction. I was almost like, who the hell is he talking about? I'm looking around like, man, I want to meet that guy.
Hey, really and truly, think about it though, Jay. You had Mitch Craig back in the day.
Yep.
You had,
Kiss 98.5. Kiss
yeah, exactly,
98.5. More money,
exactly.
more music. Kiss
Yeah, yeah.
98.5.
And we
Yep.
and we had two guys. We had two guys. We ran Mitch Craig and Mitch Faulkner.
When you talk about Mitch Faulkner, again,
Rest in
that's
peace. Rest
honorable
in
of
peace, my
you.
man.
Rest in peace. Man, when I tell you that, oh man, when you say that name, Mitch Faulkner, I can't even express, and that's a great way to start the show. Um, I remember Mitch and I, when he passed away, we were in the process of starting a company together
Okay.
because, Mitch told me, you know, I want to give the baton to somebody that I know is going to take it and run with it. And I was honored. You know how we were about Mitch Faulkner when we were young.
Yeah.
But as I got older and I became little brother, and he was like, little brother, we'd sit there and he would just call me sometimes and he'd ask me questions. And I'd be like, but you Mitch Faulkner. He was like, man, let me tell you something. And I got to know the real Mitchell Edward. And that's what I called him. When I call him, Mitchell Edward, what you doing? He was an old country boy.
Yes,
I
yes,
ain't
yes,
doing that, little brother.
yeah.
Talk to me. Teach me something. He was just the most beautiful human being. Man, I tell you, man, I miss him so much. I miss him so much. And it teaches us value each other while we have each other.
That's true. That's true. I had a chance to Mitch had hired me back in the day, man. I think he had just started his studio. And I was in the late 90s.
On my productions,
On
he
Mike
was in
Production.
Atlanta.
He
On
just
Mike,
started.
yeah.
He had about like 4 people at the time,
Hmm.
4 or 5 people, and, I didn't take it. I didn't take it, but we chit-chat during that time and still kept in touch over the years, but, he was a bad brother doing voiceover, man, and he ended up doing, with Tom Joyner.
Oh yeah, he
Tom
was
Joyner.
with he was with
Yeah,
Tom Joyner.
yeah.
I remember when he got the job with Tom Joyner, he told me, and he was going to be moving to Dallas, and told me what he was going to be doing, and I followed him, and he and I stayed close, and just man, we grew together, and uh, the most probably one of the most beautiful moments was his computer crashed and he lost, and his hard drive crashed too. And everything that he lost, and he called me and he was like, man, little brother, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I lost everything. And, I had everything. And before he even looked up, um, I got a hard drive. I copied my hard drive, every single sound effect, everything that I had, everything, and I gave it to Mitch. And that was the first time I ever saw Mitch Faulkner cry.
Wow.
And he was like, man, you would do this for me. And I was like, man, you don't understand. You don't understand. My
Yeah,
dad spent almost 50 years in this business, and I understand honor and respect. I understand honor and respect. And
right.
that's one of the ones we have to honor and respect. And it was just beautiful to be able to I was able to help Mitch Faulkner. Because in my mind, what the hell could I ever do for Mitch Faulkner? This is a man whose voice is heard on over
Man,
180 radio stations
yeah,
worldwide.
man. People
What
don't
the
know
hell
who
can
this,
I do? What could I do for Mitch Faulkner?
and people don't even realize who he is
Man,
or who he was. You know, at the
it's
time.
so
Yeah,
crazy. I was looking at a when Minister Farrakhan was on a radio station in Chicago,
right.
and in the background you could hear Mitch. He was talking, and you could hear Mitch in the background. I was like, oh my God! It just, and back in the day when he, 1075 WGCI, we
Exactly.
play the hits.
That's
It
Chicago.
just Mitch was, oh man, he was the granddaddy of them all.
With you, Jay, learning from Mitch Faulkner, you had started off in Houston as well. You went to Texas Southern University.
Yeah,
You started off in radio. I'm really and truly. I met Jay. I met Jay in radio. So been knowing Jay, and then plus all the connections we know about some other people outside of radio.
sure,
We
sure.
know some other people keep in contact as well. But you left Houston and went to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Well, actually,
Started
I
off a
left
morning
Houston.
show.
I left Houston, and the first job I got, I remember the Million Man March was coming,
Right.
and I got a phone call, and I was like, actually, right before that, my grandfather passed away, and that
Mm,
took a lot out of me. And I just, oh man, that took a lot out of me. And so I went to California, and I stayed a while in California. And in staying in California, then I kind of found myself and came back. Then I came back to Houston, and I got a call from Niecy Davis. Niecy Davis at in Mobile, Alabama, WBLX. And Niecy called me, and I went down to Mobile. I packed my stuff, went to Mobile, took the job, and I started. And man, when I tell you, hey, says brother, that was the time of my life. And
right.
and people couldn't believe it. I had a great time in Mobile, met some good people. Pensacola's right across the water. Went over there. Then I stayed there a couple of years, came on back home. And the interesting part, when I came back home, that's when I got a chance to do, hone my acting skills.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
I worked at a few radio stations here in Houston, came back home, of course. But then I got a part in Men Cry in the Dark, the play Men Cry in the
I
Dark. And
remember that. I remember that.
I traveled the country with them for a while. But brother, I played, interestingly enough, I played the DJ in in the stage play, but then that fire wouldn't die. Come on, Adrian, you know how it is, brother. That radio bug, hey, it's like that song say, every time I try to leave, something keeps pulling me back,
Yeah. Were
and
you also in the movie with Jada Pinkett Smith and
I
yeah, that's
was.
right. You was at the end of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I played in Jason's Lyric. I
Jason
played the
Lyric.
clown,
That's the name of
played
it
the
now.
clown in Jason's Lyric. And that was funny. When we were at Texas Southern, we were
Yeah.
in school, and they told me, I was on stage doing stand-up comedy at Hip Hop Comedy Stop.
Really? I
And
didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, Rushion McDonald put me on stage, and I did it, and I liked it. It was cool. And Doug McHenry came up to me, and he was like, "Man, I like you. I gotta have you." I was like, "Whoa, player, I ain't, hey." And he was
Right.
like, "No, no, man, we're shooting a movie here in town." And I was really, I auditioned, and I was like, "Well, what is the part?" I just happened to ask, "What does the part pay?" And they told me, I was like, "Sign me up." Heck yeah, man. It was,
Jason Lyric. I forgot. Yeah. Because I remember they put a memo out in the radio stations that they were shooting at Jason Lyrics here in Houston.
yep.
Remember
Yep.
this?
And that was fun. And I was trying to think, let's see, when I did that, I believe that was right before
It was in 90, I want to say 91, 92.
91, 92. I think I did. No, was it after my internship at Kiss 98 when we met?
I think it was because I was at the station at 91, so it was around 91. It was
Yeah,
around
it was
91.
around that time, man.
Yeah.
Around that time. And it's funny, man. And I gotta honor you, man. Let's stop for a second. I know, it's an interview and you want to interview me, but brother, let me tell you something.
Oh, man, I ain't down.
Dude, let me tell you something. I want to honor you, brother, because one of the most consistent friends and one of the most genuine human beings I've ever met and been around, brother. That is you.
I
That is
appreciate it,
you.
man. I appreciate it. I accept that one, but I thought you were gonna talk about radio. No, man, I'm gonna
Man, please.
we good.
You come on, Adrian.
We good. But
Adrian, you've
hey,
forgotten more radio than a lot of people know. And you're so in the background. You're so in the background and people don't know. But once you start spouting off things, people are like, damn, you know that. And that's Adrian. And that's one thing that I honor and respect about you. You don't have to be loud and out loud. I'm the one that's always talking.
Jay,
I'm the one that's always out there in front. You more, laid back in the cut,
hey,
but Adrian knows his stuff.
yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate that though, Jay. You know, Jay has Jay, like I said, Jay been on radio, went to North Carolina, man. And you hey, kind of talk about your Charlotte, North Carolina. You also did the you almost slipped that one by me. You also did the PA announcement for the basketball game, Charlotte Bobcats.
Yep, I worked for the
Oh,
and worked for the NBA. That was, man, when I tell you
yeah.
that changed my life. It really did. And um, Bob Johnson from
Mhm.
BET fame, when
Mhm.
he owned the team, he came to my show, to the morning show, to and talk about the team a little bit and stuff like that. And I was just sitting there in the studio and I was like,
The Bob
you know,
Johnson.
the Bob Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool brother, man. When I tell you, just a really cool brother. Um, he came and I said, ladies and gentlemen, your Charlotte Bob. He's like, and I was like, man, it was a blessing. And when I got the gig, um, I had so much fun, man. So much fun. But I got to be honest, it didn't pay anything.
Nah, man,
It
that's the
didn't
sad
pay
thing about
anything.
it. That's the sad thing about it. They don't.
But you work for the NBA and you build up, and honestly, it was a blessing. But I knew I had to make some changes. They sent me to Miami. I was doing really well, and I
Really?
didn't know. I was first year in the NBA, and I'm doing my thing. And I didn't know even about the fact that the NBA comes in and they grade the show. They grade the
Yeah.
entertainment. They grade the announcer.
Yeah.
And I did really well, apparently, and I didn't know. And they sent me to Miami to work and learn under I forget his name, the guy in Miami. And I was sitting there at the table in Miami and I'm just looking at this and really tripping. And I look down, this man's got a world championship ring on and stuff like that. And I just happened to ask him, I'm like, you got a ring? And he was like, yeah. He's like, it's a family around here. Everybody gets a ring. And I was
Everybody
like,
gets ready.
and I said, you get paid too? And he was like, told me he made $75,000 a year. And I was like, I wanted to throw up. And I was like, oh my God, something's got to change,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I learned a lot. Let's just say the NBA was good to me.
Would
I
you
had
do
a
it
great
again?
time.
If you had the opportunity to knock on your door and they say, come do a PA, just do the PA announcement, probably say 75,000 again, would you do it?
I probably would. I probably would because, the biggest thing, I have to be honest, I didn't know the business side of it. I
Right.
didn't know the business side of it. And the things that I had learned, if you look at NBA 2K, the
Mhm.
video game,
Mhm.
I didn't know until later on. There's a phrase that I coined, and they used it on that NBA 2K, and I never
Well
got a dime for it.
well, see, Michael Buffer was real smart.
I
Me too.
remember, when I used to train with Evander Holyfield, I remember Michael Buffer when he was just getting started.
We're just getting
And
started.
he really was. He really was. Used to
He
see him in Vegas and he took it serious. He'd be
he
back
took
there
it
with his
serious,
mic.
man. He took it serious, and he copyrighted everything he did. Like, let's get ready to rumble. He copyrighted it. So if anybody used that on TV or anything like that, he gets paid.
And it's so amazing. I was blown away, and this was years later when my son's playing a video game, and they were like, "Dad, they use your stuff," and I'm like, "Son," I'm thinking, my son, yeah, okay, son. He was like, "No, Dad, come here and watch it," and he shot a three, and I used to do. There was a guy that played for them named Matt Carroll,
Yeah.
and Matt Carroll, or Gerald Wallace, a Mecca Okafor, anybody. The slogan I used was, Gerald Wallace for three. And I did that. And they used to light up around the arena. When I said three, I would hold it until the lights went around the arena. And it was just something that how we get creative, and,
Right.
we in the hood, we get creative and we do things or say things. And next thing you know, when I saw on NBA 2K, they did that. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But you live and you learn. You live and you learn. So if I did it again, I'd probably coin another phrase. And now I know the $75,000 salary, that's not where it's at. That's not where it's at. The residual, the royalties, and
That's where it's at.
coining
Yeah.
the phrase,
Yeah.
and business. That's where it's at.
Yeah. That's exactly where it's at, because going into the video games and coming back, paying you all that, man. Hey, that's where it's at, man. That's where it's
Absolutely.
at. Doing all that, Jay, from that point, like I said, I started hearing you all on the radio, man, from coast to coast. I'll be in New York, I hear your voice. Uh, I was in LA one time, I heard your voice, and I was like, that Jay really put it out
Yeah,
there.
I've been blessed, Adrian. I truly been blessed, brother. And it's I can't even explain what a blessing it is. And here's the funny part.
Mhm.
Now at 52 years old, I never understood. Oftentimes I never understood the blessing. It's good to build your ego, to know that you're on in New York, or to know that you're on a station in LA, and things of that nature. But I'm really now, after so many challenges in my life and being away from my craft for a while, brother, I'm learning what a blessing it was, man. What a blessing it was.
Let's
And
take
what
those
a blessing
challenges,
it
Jay.
is.
Let's take those challenges, man, because life is about challenges, right?
Sure.
Um, what was the tough time during the time from Charlotte to Houston and back to Houston, and the difficult things? I say, man, I don't think I'm gonna do this. I don't think I can carry on. But now all of a sudden you look back, you there. What was the big tough challenge for you to change your mind and change your ways to get to where you was at?
Oh man, there's so much, so very much. I'll say this. Um, at a time when you think you have the world in your
Mm,
hands and you got everything, and the things that you think are important really aren't. I just after at a certain point, my marriage, lost a marriage, lost houses, cars, all those things that you think really matter. And I sacrificed that. But the beautiful thing about it, it allowed me, when I left radio, I lost my job. When I left radio, I began to do something that changed my life. And that was homeschool my children. And I took my children out of school and I homeschooled my children. That was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. Homeschooling my children.
Hmm.
having my children every single day. There was nowhere I went without my children, constantly teaching them. Question, Dad, what is this? Dad, what is that? And all of them, all three of them asking questions. Dad, Dad, Dad. Hey, Dad, Dad. And it was just like, oh my God, what have I done? But God, in His infinite wisdom, bless me to be able at a time that's crucial in your children's lives,
Right.
to be able to bond with them. Because before, Adrian, doing morning radio, hell, I'm gone before they wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Come back
Yeah.
home after the basketball games and they're asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Dad is this guy that I see on the weekends that coaches my baseball games and coaches my football games, but we don't really know him, you know? Um, and I was on that type of wheel. But when I lost my job and decided to homeschool my children, man, that was the biggest challenge of my life, but the most rewarding.
Coming from off those changes, man, seeing your kids grow and making those changes, man. Like I was telling you earlier before we started, when we was in radio, people in radio was helping us, you know, taught us to do this, taught us to do that. Now I go to a station and there's really nobody helping nobody. That
I,
change right there, man. That change is like, wow, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to go back in and nobody's really like mentoring nobody? You always had somebody mentoring you, like you said, you was at 98.5. Everybody in there was teaching everybody. Leon the leader, rest in peace, my man. He was, if you stop and
Stevie
talk to him,
T, rest in peace.
exactly. DVT, rest in peace. I mean, all the people that was at the station helped you.
That was absolutely true, but I got it honest. My pops, Rick Roberts, helped so many people. It was in him to be a teacher. And he helped from Stevie T, Val Wilson, Jerry Smoking B, so many people. And in fact, my pops gave Walt Baby Love his first job. When Walt Baby Love got out of Vietnam, he came to Houston.
Yep, correct.
And my pops gave him a job. And being able to help each other, we used to be the Air Force. The Air Force. When you're on the Air Force, the team, everybody wanted to challenge each other. And it used to be who gonna do the tightest promo, who got the tightest show, who runs the tightest board, who runs the tightest. Yeah. But I think a lot of people in this day and time, because the pool has gotten so small, Adrian, the pool has gotten so small that people look at each other as a challenge instead of, if I help him, it's going to take away from me. If I help him, I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to have, and that mindset grew. And I remember after radio really changed, when I was at Magic 102 in Houston and we were Noble Broadcasting. I remember the day that Clear Channel came in. This is Clear Channel Radio. All the suits came in and radio just began to change. And it began to change. And I remember you do a weekend promo, and I was so proud of, I was in charge of the weekend promos. I'd write it and do it creative, do a creative promo with all the bells and whistles and, and I had everything on there. And I'd be so, and you take it and people would listen to it in the station and be like, oh yeah, yeah. Now it's just get it done. Just put something on the air. Just as long as we have that block of space filled now.
Yeah.
But it's a personal thing. So we have to we have to keep that fire going, that energy going. Sometimes if it ain't nobody to listen to your promo but you, and you have to enjoy it, you have to be the one to say, man, that shit is fire. That's fire. That's hot. I love
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
love that. And we have to keep each other enthused. That's
Yeah,
real. That's real, Adrian.
yeah, that's real, man. Because I listen to a lot. I listen to radio, and I listen to them like one station. I'm not gonna mention the name. One of the stations, they say this station has been. They'll go to commercial and come back, and before the jock come on, they'll say this station has been pre-recorded. So that means they not there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
they not there.
Portions of this program have been pre-recorded. Yeah.
Re-recorded. Yeah, they not there. Like, wow. And it's funny though. I teach Snowman about that because Snowman used to come into the meetings, man. And at 98.5, he used to come into meetings and he used to tell everybody, all the jocks, he said, man, y'all better get y'all shit together.
Yeah.
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 And we was, I think,
Snowman was one of them. Snowman was one of them. And 98.5 was the older version of Snowman. When he was at Magic 102,
yeah.
whoa, doing mornings.
But see, we was the first station to have the computers in the studio. And he was always telling me, y'all better get y'all shit together because they're gonna start laying voices. Yeah, they're gonna start laying voices down. And hardly nobody gonna be in the studio. And I look back and I joked with him recently about that. And I was like, dude, yeah, I remember you saying that. He's like, man, just look at how it was going. I was like, wow.
And it seemed like in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And now, now I was just talking to a friend of mine. There's a new syndicated show about to come out, and they record the night before. And this is a syndicated morning show. And they record the night before. So what your chances are what you're hearing ain't live.
Yeah. 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 But man, getting your voices all across the country, man. That's awesome.
It's,
that's awesome, man.
It
you go from New York to LA to hear you. I mean, you turn on the radio, you hear Jaye Delai.
It's humbling. It's humbling, man, because you think about the number of people that are hearing your voice. And it's like, wow. It's humbling, man. But the challenge is keeping your head about you. Because, yeah, millions of people hear your voice, but it's just like Mitch talked about. Millions of people hear your voice, but if you're laying in the hospital and you're on your sick bed, what does it matter? What does it really matter? So Mitch taught me a lot about putting that into perspective and looking at life for what's really important, Adrian.
Yeah, life is very important, man. Life is can't take that for granted, though. Can't take
Hell
that
no.
for granted at all.
No, you can't. And I tell you, a year and a half ago, when I came down with COVID and I was in the hospital for 10 weeks, it's humbling when somebody tells you there's nothing else that we can do. And it's like you're laying there waiting to die. God saw different, and I thank God so much for that. And I've gone through a series of things where I had 10 weeks in the hospital, I had to learn how to walk all over again. And I'm still learning. I'm not ashamed to say I'm still learning. And having to walk on a walker is so humbling. But the thing that I have to be thankful for is I can still sit here in my studio and at least I still have my voice. I have to learn how to walk again, but I've got my voice.
You got that bread and butter, the one that's making you money.
And that's the blessing. And I could sit here and be pissed off, that I can't run. I can't walk fully by myself and I can't do these things. But you know what? It makes me extremely thankful. And I understand what gratitude is. Waking up each morning, as long as I'm vertical, brother, everything gonna be all right. It ain't perfect, but everything gonna be all right.
Here's a question I have to ask you on that one, man. Because I always ask this question on the show, man. I always ask this question. Like I used to, I use TD Jakes for example.
Okay.
Um, the church is full, and the pastor always come out and say, "This is your year. This is your year. This is your year." Only 3/4 of those people in the congregation understand what he's talking about. The rest of them will come back in the same situation that they were last year, saying, "I
Mhm.
received that." Not doing anything to increase their belief or anything to move forward, but they receive what he's saying. Stay with me. But the other 3/4 go out and do what he do and be successful, be whatever they have, whatever God has for them. How can you explain to people that they have great ideas that they should move forward, not just sit down on them, not be the other 3/4, but be part of that 3/4 and move forward.
It's interesting the way that you look at the numbers. I'd venture to say 3/4 don't do it, and only a fourth, if a fourth, maybe a tenth really do it because growth is pain. Growth is pain, Adrian. And most people in this world, they're not willing to face the pain and the sacrifice and what it takes to be quote unquote successful. In this thing we call life, again, I'll say it again. Something in my spirit's telling me to reiterate. Growth is pain. And my granddaddy always said this line, son, faith untested can't be trusted. Faith untested cannot be trusted. And it's like
Yeah.
what I went through again when I had the COVID. Let me tell you something. It was that was the roughest period of my life ever, going to the edge of death. But it has produced in me a blessing, and I've conquered two things in my life. And I'll share them with you, Adrian. We brothers. We
Right,
we
right. Go ahead.
brothers 30 years. And
Yeah,
I will share with you. When we go out, we always got our crew with us, our entourage, our people with us. I grew up, I got, there's 7 of us, brothers and sisters in my family. And so I'm always with people. And I used to hate to be alone by myself. I used to hate being by myself. Always got to have my boys with me, rolling with the crew, got to everybody with me. 10 weeks in the hospital by yourself. During COVID, nobody could come in the hospital. It was you and the nurse. That's it. During that 10-week period, I had to learn how to accept being by myself. And I had to learn how to have the conversations with God that needed to be had. So learning how to be by myself, learning to truly love my own company and be in that cocoon with God. Secondly, I remember being at the Source Awards. It was me, Cut Creator, LL Cool J, and Busta Rhymes sitting at a table. And the word went out that Aaliyah was killed. And this feeling came over me. And Adrian, I used to think, I know I'm going to do big things in life. I know I'm going to do big things, but I didn't think I would live long. I just thought I would do extraordinary things, but I didn't think I'd live long. And God showed me, man, the Creator showed me through all the challenges I've been through. Son, how many times I got to show you I'm with you? How many times I got to show you I'm with you? And going back to what you said, having to face, this is your year. Yeah, it's my year. And the pastor leaves it like that. This is your year.
Right. He just
Your
leave it.
year.
He
Your
just
year
leave it that
for
way.
your, but you got to ask the question, my year for what? My year for challenge? My year to be challenged to my core? My year to receive the biggest blessing that I've ever had in my life? Because you got to understand, people think a blessing, oh, blessings are good and oh, blessings are good. But sometimes you get a blessing. And what happens when you can't handle that blessing? The challenges
Mm,
that come when you can't handle that blessing.
mm. You know what, Jay, saying that, man, I don't think people like like you said, I don't think people like the challenges. They just don't like the challenge. They rather sit there and wait to next year and year after year after year and say, I received that.
Sure, absolutely, because there's no work. There's no work on your part. You can verbalize that, but it's past
Absolutely.
verbalization. Let me ask you a question.
Go
Let me
ahead.
ask you a question. And I know this wasn't scheduled in the show, but I thank you for allowing me to ask you this. Picture yourself on the door of hell. On the door of hell,
Mhm.
the opening to hell. And you look in there and it's just a long pathway. But somebody told you God was on the outside, on the other side, waiting for you to go through. You know of a surety that God is on the other side waiting for you to come through with open arms. Would you walk through hell?
Let's go back to Bible verse. That was the lion's den. You know, the lions didn't even eat that guy. So would I walk through that to answer that
But you
question?
think about that's the same thing right now. If
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
told you, Adrian,
Exactly.
you see some hungry lions in the damn cage,
Exactly.
go in there. God got you. Would
Yeah.
you go in that cage?
Human nature. Human nature. No.
Mm-hmm.
Human nature. No. Man, you crazy. I'm not going in there. The first thing we're gonna look at, man, you crazy. I ain't going in there.
Thank you.
Spiritually, your spirit may want to tug you to go in, may, but it's up is it you gonna make that decision human naturally? Nah, nah.
In asking that question, the final part of that, I'm a music man. We love music. That
Love it.
part of the reason why we got in this business. We love music. So
Love it.
I love music. And I'm going to tell you the greatest lyrics that were ever written in the history of music, my opinion,
Okay.
the greatest lyrics ever written. Would you run to me if somebody hurt you,
That's Prince.
even if that somebody
Well, it was
was
me.
me?
That's Prince.
Is that not God?
If I was your girlfriend,
Would
uh,
you run to me if somebody hurt you, even if that somebody was
somebody was
me?
me. Yeah.
When you're going through the roughest period of your life and you're like, God, this is happening. God, this is happening. Oh my God, this is happening. I know, my child. I know. I'm allowing it to happen to you. What? What? Would you run to me if somebody hurt you, even if that somebody was me? I'm allowing you to go through this hell because I know where you're going to turn around and run back to.
Hmm.
I'm
Reverend Jaye
allowing.
Delay. Glory.
It's funny. When I was in the seventh grade, three things that I had to write a paper in seventh grade, Miss Friedman's English class.
Hmm.
And she said, three things that you want to be when you grow up. I said, a professional football player, I want to be a minister, and I can't wait to be a father. But you know, being a minister, that's why I got in the radio, because I can say something positive.
Always have.
As my dad,
Always have. I've been knowing Jay been saying stuff positive for since 1991.
man, it's been a blessing. I honestly, my dad always told me, he said, son, you can say something to appeal to people from
Right.
the neck up or the waist down.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And I always, I can't be a minister, man. I can't be in the pulpit because I cuss.
Well, hold on, Jay. Hold on. They cuss too. So hey, yeah, we all both in the same boat.
Well, dog, I just can't. My mama rolled over in her
Hey,
grave. I get up in the pulpit and be like, "You mother need to."
hey, hey, some of them cuss too. Hey, you ain't the only one. And it won't be the first time either.
I just don't want to misrepresent my mama. So the best thing I could do was be on the radio because I could say something positive. And if I slip up and cuss, you know, they'd be like, "Oh, that's just Jay being crazy." You know,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
hey, that's life, brother. That is life. But
And talking about football, man, you played football at Texas Southern,
I did.
and
I
you
played.
played also with Michael Strahan.
I did. I played with Mike. I just talked to him a couple days ago. He and I will send messages. His birthday was, I think his birthday was yesterday. But he and I talk, and beautiful human being.
Yeah,
Beautiful human being. And so many brothers, being an athlete taught me so much too. It taught me a lot, and that helped me in my radio career
yeah.
because that brings out the woo man, that fighting spirit. And I'm going to win, no matter what. I hate to quote Khaled without giving him his,
Hey,
his
you gotta
royalties,
win. Every
but
time your hands go up,
and they stay there.
and they stay up.
Good, bad, ugly, they
Yeah,
stay there. You win in spite of.
yeah.
And being an athlete really helped me. And I'm telling you, shout out to all the HBCUs, even shout out to Dion and what he's doing at Jackson State. I think it's remarkable. I wholeheartedly support him. And the greatest thing I could tell him is the way that you pour into those young men, you real, but you truly tell them about God too.
Tell them about God. Start off with God too. Praying.
And
Oh,
it's a blessing, man. It really is a blessing to see HBCUs evolve, the evolution of the HBCUs. And I believe, look at that past weekend, a healthy Travis Hunter, that boy dominated. And I believe that there are going to be more Black athletes that are going to go to
yeah,
HBCUs.
yeah.
I really believe that, not to get off subject, but
No.
that's
You said we was on that because you gotta look at also what's my man in preview?
Bubba McDowell.
Bubba McDowell. He's changed that too program too. Nobody's paying attention to that. He has changed that program, football program, big time.
Absolutely. Bubba McDowell's changing it. Got to give it up to Eddie George.
Eddie
Eddie
George,
George
thank
is
him, George.
changing it. You,
Yeah,
you look at Hugh at Grambling, he may not have the number of wins yet.
it's coming.
It takes time to change the
It's coming.
atmosphere of a program.
It's coming. It's coming.
And so those things are coming, man. And I think this is only the beginning.
Yeah.
This is only the beginning. And Dion, I'm not mad at him. If Dion decides to take one of these Power 5 jobs, I'm not mad at him. I'm really not mad at him. God bless him. Let the other coaches and the other folks step up.
But see, that's a whole nother subject on that too, though, Jack. My viewpoint on that. For many years, you haven't stepped up.
You haven't.
You haven't
You
stepped
haven't.
up.
You've
Dion come in, everybody hate him. Now he's stepping up. He's showing he's doing this. But
11-0 is no fluke.
ain't no fluke. But
11-0 is no joke.
mm-mm.
That's hard work, brother.
Yeah, that's hard work. But who's gonna step up? Alcorn State coach, he didn't want to shake his hand. All that he shouldn't have said this from the
Oh, you
before the
mean
game.
no, you mean Alabama State.
Alabama State. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Alabama State, and he shouldn't have said this for our homecoming. Come, man, it's a game. Come
He
on,
ain't
people gonna say
swag.
what they're gonna say.
I'm
Yeah,
swag. He
yeah,
ain't swag. And
yeah,
Dion made millions of dollars off. He ain't swag. If
yeah,
I ain't swag, who's
yeah,
swag? Come on, man. Everything that brother touching is turning to gold.
yeah.
But there's it always happens where there's an impetus where you're forced. It's just like you said, this is your year. This is your year.
Yes,
Well, there's a lot of coaches. You think about it. The coach at Texas Southern's making just as much money as Dion, $300,000. But look at what's being produced. You see what I'm saying? Are
mm,
3 wins, 4 wins, 5 wins? And I'm not knocking the brother, but I have to be real. We have to be real. I'm talking about any coach.
yeah.
No, coach is going to have to step up. They're going to have to step up big time and commit themselves even more. Dion has set the bar high as hell.
Oh,
He has set the bar tremendously high. And they're going to have to, brother, they're going to have to step up or step the hell on.
yeah, yeah.
These children deserve better. They deserve better. They deserve to be, and I hope and pray that more former athletes, former pro athletes will come and download their knowledge upon these children, because it's a total difference, bro.
It's a big difference. It's a big difference.
My son is a baseball player, and that's what we delved in to baseball. And I've had friends of mine that have played pros that download into my son, and I'm listening to the conversation and the things that they're telling him. I'm like, damn, I didn't play pro baseball. I love baseball. I played, but I didn't play anywhere near pro. But how did you know to tell? It's that experience and that you can download in a child and give them that wisdom, how to recognize a pitch, coming out of a pitcher's hand from here, from, the pitcher's coming from here, or if the pitch is coming from here, which way the curveball is coming, which way you're looking at the slider, and you're looking at stuff, and just stuff like that I would have, you and I would have no idea of it. But that knowledge of having been there, that's so vitally important, man.
Yeah.
It's vitally important.
Yeah. Jay, you doing voiceover work, you writing and producing and doing sound design. Where can people find you? I know I had your Instagram up, but what else you got coming up, man?
Everything. It's either Jaye Delai or Jay Speaks. Okay. You can find me everywhere. Jaye Delai, right there on the screen. JayeDelai. Or you can find me at Jay Speaks. My children Dad, you got to get on TikTok. You got to get on TikTok.
Yeah,
it's so funny. These children and their minds, they're gods. They're gods. And man, it's a blessing to just roll with these children and children that call me Pawpaw. They just, they Pawpaw. The grandchildren, they just, oh man, they just, Papa, I didn't know. I was on TikTok and they like, Papa got 300 followers. Papa, how you get to? And I was like, well, I got to play. I got to be cool. Papa knows things and know things. I have no idea how the hell I got 300 people following me.
Yeah, you got to keep your voice going across the country. They'll follow you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. I'm proud of you. I thank you truly, brother.
Thank you, man. But for my last question, man, my last question is I call it this. That's that bullshit.
That's that bullshit.
That's that bullshit, man. That's that bullshit. Hey, you know what that means because you're laughing, so I don't even have to explain it. Give me Give me a bullshit moment that the Isley brothers even said it the best. They said it the best.
All that
All that
bullshit
bullshit
going
going
down.
down. Exactly. What kind of bullshit that you have seen or experienced that you look at like, man, that's that bullshit. Give it to me, man.
Um, I'm gonna go back to what you said. When you see pastors and people, this your year, this your year, this your year, and people will sit there and make excuses
True.
and lie. And in our industry,
Yeah.
when you see artists, my album about to drop. My album about to drop. I'm about, see, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna do. I'd rather you do what you're going to do and let me congratulate you on the back end instead of lying, making excuses why you still hadn't done it. That's that bullshit.
That's that bullshit.
That's that bullshit. The excuses, man. Says if we say we're going to do something, I understand the pain of growth. I understand. Nobody understands better than I do. But year after year after year after year, talk to yourself. Talk to the God in you. Challenge yourself. Stop making excuses. Stop giving excuses. Well, the reason why I didn't do it is because she or he or that's that bullshit.
That's that. And I always say that's that real. That's some real shit there, man. That's some real shit right there. That's some real shit. My man Jaye Delai, the voiceover king from East Coast to the West Coast. You can hear him, and also you can hear him on some radio station doing voiceover work as well. Jaye Delai, I appreciate you, my man. And if you like
Man.
this, like, share, subscribe to it. This my man, Jaye Delai. Keep your eyes and ears open for this guy. And also, especially your ears, you hear the voice. And like my man used to say at the end of a show, whenever you feel yourself at the end of a rope, tie knot and hold on tight. And remember the bottom line. Ain't nobody bad like
Ain't nobody bad like you.
nobody. Until next time, it's a wrap.